What are some of your thoughts to the big stories this morning, particularly those that will form the conversation? Kadi joins me now for a review of those stories.
Yes, Bukola, just to say that the Falconets, well, they tried, but eventually Japan won that match 2-1. We saw our Olushola Shobowale scoring in additional time eventually, but that was not enough. So big up to the Falconets, the under-20 women's national team. Great job, man. It was good to see all of the work you've done, but I think we have to come back to the drawing table. Aside that, all of the big stories trending, we have them for you. We're starting off with security. Yes, we're big on what's playing out in Edo State, which will give you live updates on that one. But we're not keeping our eyes off other issues. And we'll start with this one. Armed bandits in the early hours of yesterday blocked the ever-busy Gusau-Funtua highway, kidnapping an unspecified number of travelers, and this naturally got a lot of people talking, particularly because that route in Zamfara is quite, as I said, busy. The first user on this one is Onugene Ezechukwu, who says that the finance body can fight terrorism in Nigeria by cash regulation and circulation strict law. If they know that individual, no business can't have more than 70,000 naira cash, the bank would release it except through other banking channels. They will be more strategic in planning kidnapping. I think these things have been tinkered with from time to time. There was even the limits, the cash limit at that time, and part of it was to limit kidnapping and ransom payments. But from what we've seen, I don't know if it quite works.
It's as if kidnappers are also limiting their demands this time around. You see, retailer kidnappers demanding 1 million naira, 300,000 naira as ransom. Pardon my description. There's this one also from Kolawole Oyewole, who says, is it that those states are too big landmass, or management of the bigness of the land, or no political will to manage it? Is the landmass the issue, or no manpower, or lack of resources?
Lots of questions. And let's add this user's comment. Alhaji Nala says it's truly disheartening that these bandits have been able to operate freely on a major highway for 2 hours without intervention. And this user tags the Nigerian army saying they must take swift action to ensure that these criminals are either apprehended or eliminated to restore peace and safety on our roads. I mean, the military had put out even images yesterday about some of the gains and wins that they recorded, but obviously there's a lot more to be done.
And we have a next talking point, right? This one is specifically about the president approving 108 billion naira for states to tackle flood and erosion. And the first person speaking is Suleiman Idemudia, who says this is a significant and timely investment in disaster relief. Kudos to President Tinubu for prioritizing the safety and well-being of the states.
Well, Professor, I think it's Professor, play on Professor, the next user, says the president needs to work with governors and local government to ensure that all states have proper urban planning. The major cause of natural disasters in Nigeria is due to proper urban planning, this user says, and ends by saying that we need to stop investing money in short-term solutions to long-term problems. So it's a very interesting balance. There's a very present need, right? Humanitarian need, emergency. You have to face that as well as do short, mid, and long-term planning. So it's a mix. It's a very tricky balance, but we have to get it right.
Indeed. And this next one is from Imperial Realist, who says, where is this money coming from and where is it going? Really? How do we track government expenditure? This is a problem I believe Nigerians in the IT sector can craftily resolve with modern innovations and ideas.
There you go. Particularly when you also hear from NEMA that the rice promised is yet to reach Borno not this time around.
Kade, you haven't forgotten about this rice matter.
Yes, because rice is important. Whether or not people say we throw everything at rice, rice still has its place in our hearts as a nation. So obviously there's a lot of things that we need to get right. You want to say something?
The important thing is that 108 billion naira is a lot of money. Yeah. And instead of deploying these funds to short-term solutions. State governments must begin to look at long-term approaches to tackling floods, perennial flooding, particularly look at the dam constructs so that we do not have a repeat of what we saw from the Alao Dam in Borno State.
Absolutely. Well, let's head over to Edo State now. Countdown to that election. This time next week, campaigns will have stopped, and the election will be just 24 hours away. But something played out yesterday, and it's a bit concerning. The peace accord was meant to be signed. It was signed eventually by all the parties except the ruling party in the state, the PDP. But what have you been saying about that? Jopel217 is the first user on this one. Says it's not constitutionally required. That's how this user starts. And goes on to say, I too love PDP Edo chairman. Why? Let's see if there's an explanation. In 2023, what was the usefulness when core members were maimed in River State? I've been at Lagos State where people were openly discriminated against and harassed. So this user doesn't think that the peace accord plays a major role, or at least changes anything. But some will say, well, it could have been worse if there was no peace accord. So glass half full, half empty?
Well, this next one is from Ostili3. They are quick to sign peace accord, but forget to amend the critical section of the Electoral Act to ensure only direct transmission of results from IREV to portal will be admissible.
Let's get this
Good point
right.
there.
But the peace accord is not by INEC. The peace accord is by the Kuka Center. You see, former head of state Abdul Salami and Abubakar, Bishop Kuka, and all. This is not by
and
government.
Other stakeholders.
Exactly. It's not by government. It's not by INEC. It's not by the National Assembly or any of the people you elected into government. So I think it's important to approach these issues. And Sokoro has the last one on this one, saying it's high time this committee review this thing they call peace accord by political parties before election. This is again is asking what has it produced, but they have said it could have been worse if peace accords are not signed.
Okay, away from peace accords now to the humanitarian, or rather, reforms to tackling the economic crisis. NEDC begins sharing 200,000 bags of rice. And this first one is from...
So I said rice is important. So.
I agree. Oluwani Shola, who says, well, this is not going to help the flood, but at least it will help some people, but they really need to work on the food rather than this.
Balo, now this is NEDC, that's the Northeast Development Commission, sharing rice, right? And the other rice promised by Vice President Shatima when he visited Borno recently, it's another case entirely. But this user says rice is not the issue. The main bone of contention is they are displaced from their respective homes. What is government doing to salvage this disaster? Again, rice is better than nothing, right? And we understand that there are other things being shared. Look at the money that was budgeted for this. So, Bukola, you're next.
Okay, JC6 says, must everything be about rice?
Oh.
How can we buy rice how can we use rice, I believe, by lifting others when condiments to cook stew is super expensive?
So there you have it. We'll keep monitoring what's playing out in Borno State, whether it's distribution of rice, other relief materials, rescue, the life of the people who are stranded, who are displaced, over 400,000 people. We'll keep monitoring that. But we have to anchor at this point with what is trending, but keep sending them in hashtag CTV Morning Brief, and we'll be sure to take them up.
Yes, indeed. So after this time out, we'll be starting with politics. Edo State is on our minds this morning as we engage the candidates. By the way, are you from Edo State? And have you been scrutinizing all the candidates? Well, we present some of them to you this morning as they also share their vision for the transformation of Edo State. So stay with us. We'll be right back.